Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Molly's Salon. This is our weekly program every Thursday evening where I interview innovative thinkers and creative firebrands. We're all living through a critical time in American history with the COVID-19 pandemic and a vital social justice movement led by Black Lives Matter. And our guests are a variety of artists and leaders discussing new ideas, how they're coping with the coronavirus and making positive social change, as well as showing us those really wonderful glimmers of hope for the future. And my guests this week are DeMone Seraphin, who's the director and founding artistic director of the New American Theater Company, Alice Ripley, who's a wonderful artist and actor of productions that you might have seen her in, like Arena Stage's Next to Normal and on Broadway with Sideshow, and Mark Tooley, who's the president of the Institute on Religion and Democracy. So we're going to start with DeMone. And Dee is an award-winning actor, singer, director, and the founding artistic director of the New American Theater Company. He's appeared on many stages around the Washington area, Broadway, nationally, internationally, on film and television. And he is also a minister. And I first met DeMone, well, at Arena Stage, but then I really met him and got to know him when Sandy Hook happened. And my partner Suzanne and I began posting online about doing a march on Washington for gun control. And Dee, you answered the call.
Yes, indeedy. Hi, Molly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good and so excited to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. I was trying to interview you and you flipped the script on me. So thank you.
Indeed, indeed. And DeMone, you have some pretty exciting news for us tonight, don't you?
I do. My whole team is probably watching. So for Sarah and Alyssa and Dina and Megan, the five of us are pending all of the T's being crossed and I's being dotted. My board made me make sure I said that. We will be the producing partners of the Avant-Garde Theater in Arlington, Virginia. So I'm in the DMV. I'm like squarely part of the community now because I'll be one of the artistic leaders in this great theater. So I'm excited to make this loose announcement. And then the theater will do a larger announcement once all the dots are, I's are dotted and T's are crossed, that they'll announce us all as the producing partners of the Avant-Garde Theater.
Oh,
Yay!
yes, yes, yes. I'm so proud of you, DeMone.
Thank
Congratulations to
you. Thank
you
you so
and all
much.
your
That means a
producing
lot.
partners. This is
That
this
means a
is
lot.
great. This is a great launch. Well, I'm really curious. First, I'm going to ask you questions about a couple different things, but I wanted to start with what kind of role do you think theaters play or can play or should play in combating systemic racism?
Mm. That's a good question, Molly. I've been having this conversation a lot with people. I think for all of the problems that face the American theater, we have the greatest flexibility in terms of helping the world to pivot by modeling what it is to be inclusive, what it means to be just, what it means to be equitable in our field. I think people look to entertainers, they look to the theater as a means of, yes, entertainment, but also education and leadership. And Molly, you've taught me that, and you started talking about that. I'm sure we'll get to that. But I think the theater has a wonderful opportunity, certainly in this time of pandemic, where we've been forced into this kind of sequester, where we can make intentional moves to march out before the world how we can be more just and equitable in our practices. And that's what I think the theater's gift can be once we harness it ourselves.
Absolutely. And Damone, you're such a leader and an interesting leader because not only do you make theater, not only do you have a theater company, and now you're working with another theater company, you're a director, you're an actor, and you're also an ordained minister and have been
Yeah,
an ordained minister since you were a teenager, which
yeah.
is incredible. So, what role do you think religion has to play today?
Yeah. uh, religion makes our sociology, or I should say, theology makes our sociology act right. Theology makes our sociology act right. For those of us, especially Christians, but even in world religions, those of us who profess a higher power that espouses that the greatest thing is love, that if we truly live by those tenets, then our theology, our governance by that higher power should make us show up in the world in a better way. Uh, there is no higher power that espouses the ideology of love that will allow such hatred and separatism to run rampant in the land. Either we're not truly guided by that higher power, or that higher power maybe is asleep. I don't know, but I don't think that there's a higher power that espouses that the ideology that will sit idly by while we're in this mess. But it takes great intentionality on our parts. We look to God to be all seeing, all knowing, all powerful, but then God also gives us a choice. He gives us a choice as to how we deal with each other in community. Will we love each other, which is the greatest commandment? There's faith, hope, and love. And of these three, love is the greatest. Will we function in that space of love, or will we not? And we get to make that choice every day. And for those of us who look to that higher power, who holds our theological principles to heart, that principle should guide our every move in the culture.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think in this moment of the pandemic, one of the other areas that it's moving us toward really quickly is a focus on climate change. And
Mhm.
I think because of the pandemic, it's as if God has shrugged us off of the planet or put us in our rooms
Yeah,
and made us sit and think for a while.
yeah.
And I know, Dee, you're doing a lot of work online now.
Mhm.
We've got a couple minutes left, but I would love for you to talk to our audience about why you think your online work is here to stay.
Yeah, I think that again, the theater has such an incredible opportunity. In brick and mortar, our reach is kind of limited. Yeah, it's limited to our immediate environment. But what this medium, this virtual medium, has allowed us to extend our reach. We can reach people from arena to Nigeria. We would have never been able to do that had we not been forced to be quiet and to be still and forced into new modules of presentation and engagement. And so I tell people this pandemic was a gift for us. It forced us to shake off the cobwebs. It forced us to expand our thinking so that we can create greater experiences for our audiences. It's not going anywhere, because now I think people are more excited about what's happening at Arena or what's happening at Avant Bard, that we now have to service those people. We have to present in a way that allows them into our living room. And we're learning how to make what at first seems to be not an intimate experience. We're learning how to make it an intimate experience. And that intimate experience will carry us across the globe. You're doing it, Molly. You're doing it. And we're taking our cue from you with the films that you're doing. We're taking our cue. Avant Bard, we're taking our cue in all of our meetings. I always talk about, let's look at what's happening at Arena. Molly's doing some good stuff. And that we're wrapping our minds around how do we extend our reach. And this medium helps us to do that.
You know, Dee, when I hear you speak, I'm always reminded about how artists change the world through their imagination. And what I'm seeing in your bright eyes and bright mind is the power to change oceans.
Wow.
So
Don't make me
thank you so
cry.
much. Thank
Don't
you
make
for
me
coming
cry.
on. Much love to you.
Thank you for having me, Molly. Love you so, so much. Mwah.
You take
Good
care. Bye
night.
bye.
Yes.
A beautiful human being. And next we have Alice Ripley. She is an American actress, singer, songwriter, and mixed media artist. She earned critical acclaim and won the Best Actress in a Musical Tony and Helen Hayes Awards for her work as Diana in the Pulitzer Prize winning rock opera Next to Normal. And she also received Tony and Drama Desk Award nominations for her work as conjoined twin Violet Hilton in the cult hit Sideshow. She's appeared numerous times on Broadway and performs around the country. She's also been a recording artist with her band Ripley. And there she is. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Molly.
And Alice, show us how you break the frame.
I was going to say, maybe, we start out all on our sits bones and all fresh. And by the end of the hour, we're like this. And I can't get back up again. Molly, last time I saw you, I was under 50. I was 49 or something. We just keep getting older. So I need a little help to get up from that. Okay.
Come on back.
We get all kinds of illusions with this new format, can't we?
We can. And Alice, you were telling me that you are in the middle of filming a one-woman show. Tell us about it.
I'm going to start that in the spring. It's called The Pink Unicorn. And I play Trisha. And The Pink Unicorn is a 90-minute monologue. I just talk to the audience and I play different characters and I never leave and I never stop talking. I thought I was going to lose my mind to go off the page, but I finally figured it out. I tried to quit. It's the only project I ever tried to quit. I can't do this. But it is, anything's possible, really. And it was because I think the reason why I ended up flying with it was because of my director and the playwright and the producer, and they all said, "You can do it, Al. We believe in you." And so I just decided to believe them. It's, the magic if. It works. You think, what if this actually works?
Give us a tiny taste of what the project is about.
Trisha is a mom who is lives in Texas and has lived there for her family's lived there for generations, and everything's about the church. The whole community is about the church. And my daughter comes out as genderqueer to me, and my world is rocked, and I tell the audience all of the story. And the story is basically, she wants to start a GSA, Gay Straight Alliance, at her high school, and the principal says no way. And so I decide at one point I walk out of the church and I turn away from what is standing in the way of my daughter's self-expression. So it's this beautiful piece about, first I tell you all the mistakes I make, because it's kind of klutzy and awkward. And then at the end, it's really about love. And it's the theater has always been so attractive, seductive to me, because it's language. And I love language, and I love words. And so The Pink Unicorn is a 90-minute monologue that says, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the language of what happens when this happens. What are the words that surround us? How do we communicate about a new pronoun and about something like, LGBTQIA plus? Because Trisha says, I had to go look up LGBTQIA because she didn't know. She doesn't know. I mean, we can't fathom that, But it's true. And the thing about the play that really rings to me is that it's happening right now and seems very, very important. So I'm thrilled, of course, to be honored to tell the story. And it's a great, incredible team of people. Elise Fourier-Edie wrote the piece. And I play these different characters and I take on their voice. It took me a while to get to like these people, I'll admit that. Because you have to like them. And now I do. Now I love them. And I want to do my Alice thing, which is go all the way with it as far as you can. Like, everybody look at this piece, listen to the words, and maybe it will help the audience understand when it happens to them, when they get in a situation where, they need to talk about this subject.
Alice, it's so interesting that you use the word love, because Dee used the word too, in terms of the kind of work that we do in the theater. And you have always fallen in love with very unconventional characters, characters like in Next to Normal that many people would not love. And you found the heart of that character. I'll never forget when I first saw the production at Second Stage, and then later we brought it to Arena Stage and it was retooled, and then it went to Broadway and it won the Pulitzer, and it was just a great journey. How did you get under the skin of that character?
You know, Tom Kitt told me that he and Brian Yorkie wrote this piece for me, for me as the performer that I am and the person that I am and the time of my life and all that. And so that was always clear to me even before Tom told me about that. I just knew my relationship with Next to Normal went on for years before I finally really dove into it. And what I found was by the time I was in Los Angeles living there after 9/11, and Tom Kitt sent me a packet, and Carol Rothman was saying, you know, we're gonna bring this back and work on it off Broadway. And I mean, I knew that I was going to say yes because it was this amazing new piece, and I didn't have anything else to do. So, like, of course I'm going to say yes. Tom's my friend. I was married at the time to somebody who was really good friends with Tom too, and so why not? And you know, the music is great. I've been singing "I Miss the Mountains" for a number of years. I had recorded it. Well, I get this packet of things. You know, back then we still had CD-ROMs in our computers, and MySpace was a brand new thing. So I put CD-ROM in. I put the CD into the computer. I had this big giant computer, and I opened the script, the materials that came in this envelope. And the very first page says, you know, the first page of the script, and it says, Diana sits in a chair. She's raw, broken. I was like, I got this. I got this. I can do this. I burst into tears when I heard the music start, a song that you know didn't stay in the show longer than the CD. You know, it disappeared. It ended up in the trunk somewhere. It's the song going, Diana, goddess of the sun. And I heard the song, and I think it was Anne Marie Milazzo singing the music, and I just burst into tears, and I knew it was mine. I just knew that everybody just better get out of the way, because one of the things that I can do is get out of the way of a role. Well, Diana, like, you know, she tried to kill me, but guess who won? Guess who's still standing? And the thing about Diana is she's still the same. But I've grown. I've grown so much since I met her, and she helped me through the beginning of my middle life, so whatever. So I mean, when I saw that first page, Molly, I knew that someone's going to have to rip it out of my teeth if they were going to try to get it away from me, because it's like, I can do that. And I remember when Emily Skinner came to see me at Second Stage, you know, she's like, oh, Al. And the show was all over the place, you know, even more than I am. And but Emily came and she said, oh, Al, she was like wiping tears. She goes, this is the perfect show. This is the perfect show for you. Oh my God, it's so good. But after Second Stage, we thought, and what she meant was the role was right for me, I think. But we thought it was over, because that's what happens when you do an off-Broadway run, and it runs for 6 weeks, and then the new show comes in. And then we started talking about Molly Smith in the Arena, and there were a couple other names spinning around. And I kept going, no, it's got to be the Arena. It's got to be Molly. No, you need to go to the Arena. No, we need to go to the Arena. I think it should be the Arena. So when we ended up at the Arena, I was like, yes, do get in my way sometimes. So anyway, I knew right away, and I just prayed that I was going to be able to hold on till the end without getting flung off of this ride.
Well,
And
you took us all on a ride, and it's so beautiful to see you. I have something that already told me that we're out of time, but I have just one more quick question for you,
Okay.
which is, what's the biggest glimmer of hope that you have right now to impart to all of us?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I feel I'm excited because I know that New York is always alive, and I can't wait. Today I felt that rush of, like, a surge of adrenaline I hadn't felt all year. Like, I can't wait to come back and see everybody. And, it's like coming back to school after the end of this long summer. And I mean, walking through Times Square, you see people, you know what it's like. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to come to the arena. I can't wait to sit in the audience and see my friends on stage, and I think it's going to be better than ever, because it's true what Dee said. I think, if I can teach students all over the world all at the same time, don't you think they're going to want to come see what we're doing live? Because that's what we do. And we're not going to, the thing is, as long as we don't stop, it's never going to die. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're ever going to stop. And so thank you, Molly, for bringing me, because you are bringing me here tonight. You're such an inspiration to everyone. The arena is so special to me. And I love your presence is just something that makes me feel good about the business, makes me feel good about being an actor, because I know that you love actors there. I can't wait to come visit. I know we gotta move on to the next wonderful guest, but thanks for having me.
Much
Really,
love to you, Alice.
really glad to have
Can't
been
wait
here.
to see you in the flesh.
Me too. I can't wait to give you a hug someday.
Much love.
soon. Bye. Take care.
So great. Mark Tooley is president of the Institute on Religion and Democracy and editor of IRD's Foreign Policy and National Security Journal, Providence. He worked previously with the CIA. He's been active in United Methodist Renewal since 1988, when he wrote a study about denominational funding of pro-Marxist groups for his local congregation. He's published many books covering topics of religion and politics, as well as articles about the political witness of American churches, published in a bunch of national outlets, including the Wall Street Journal and the Chicago Tribune. So hi, Mark.
Hello, Molly. Great to be with you.
It's great to be with you. So I've got a big question for you.
Oh, I hope I can answer it.
Right to start everything off. And that's all about what happened with the events of January 6th and religion. Can you talk to us about that conflation?
Obviously, it was a tremendously disturbing day, perhaps the most disturbing in my lifetime in terms of domestic events, that many, many persons professing to be patriotic, often professing to be religious and Christian, stormed the US Capitol in an apparent attempt to overthrow our democracy violently. So almost no precedent in our history. And I'm especially disturbed that fellow Christians somehow align themselves with this movement. So I'm reflecting what happened in parts of American Christianity to bring us to this terrible point.
What do you think happened, Mark? When you dig into it, how could that have happened? How could they have made a translation from the Word of God into a terrorist act?
Many unfortunate reasons. I think one of the reasons is the breakdown of the church itself into sometimes an extreme form of individualism. So people are reading the Bible by themselves and reading their maybe extreme websites by themselves, disconnected from a congregation of fellow believers who maybe can help guide them in ways that are wiser and more prudent. And so people are sort of making it up on their own and thinking they're doing God's will. And of course, that can be a very dangerous course of action if you believe that you personally have the power to interpret God's will in some kind of final way.
Right, right. You know, I was thinking about Stacey Abrams' parents, because they were Methodist ministers, and said, my faith is central to the work that I do, in that I not only hold Christian values, but my faith tradition as a Methodist tells me that the most profound demonstration of our faith is service. And Mark, tell me a little bit more about your work in connecting these themes of religion and democracy, and what you think in terms of what Stacey Abrams said.
Well, it's interesting to hear that she's a fellow Methodist. Obviously, I'm a lifetime Methodist myself, but my organization is ecumenical. And so we try to address issues of political theology as they relate to all of the churches. And we hope that the church, if it's functioning well, can help to disciple its believers in ways that are beneficial to all of society, and that its believers, if so called, will work for positive reforms in society. So Martin Luther King, for example, obviously an ordained minister, he was Baptist, but he went to a Methodist seminary and translated his faith in a very direct way in terms of advocating legal equality for all people in America based on the precepts of his faith.
When you see the kind of divide that has happened in the United States and feels like different parts of our culture are further and further apart, and we now have a president who really wants to find ways to be able to unify so that we become a United States. What do you think we each need to do individually to help make that happen, Mark?
Well, I think we need to go back to first principles in terms of what makes us human and what makes us valuable. And that's where faith and religious institutions become very important, because they teach us that each one of us is created by God, that we bear his image, and therefore each one of us, no matter who we are, is equal to the others and has a certain dignity and respect that's owed to us. We have certain rights, and we also, at the same time, have certain duties. So no matter how strongly we may disagree with others, no matter how foreign or different they may appear to us, we still have that commonality, that humanity. We're all equally made in God's image.
You know, it's so interesting, Mark, because I was born Catholic, Roman Catholic, and I'm Black Irish. And even though I don't go to church now, I create theater, and I've always felt that the theater is my church, because it's a place where people meet and greet. It's a place where we hear and experience universal stories of human suffering and human illumination, all the things that you're talking about. And then we get to have conversations about it afterwards. And even though the theater is it's a small sliver of the world, but how do you think we in the theater can help move the country forward?
Well, maybe friends in the theater can help us rediscover these first principles about our common humanity. And the theater is very important in terms of providing inspirational narratives that can motivate our lives. But maybe we need to reflect back on the ultimate cosmic narrative in terms of why are we here on this planet Earth? God presumably put each one of us here for a purpose, and that purpose is loving and serving others. So how do we live that out, and how can we portray that in the theater?
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I'm really curious about what you might be reading right now. All right, do you read fiction or do you read nonfiction? What do you have on your bedstead? Are you somebody that has a stack of books, or do you have one book that you read all the way through from beginning to end?
I usually am reading a hard copy book, a Kindle book, and have an audio book. And I tend to gravitate towards biographies. So, for example, a friend of mine just wrote a new biography of the Secretary of State from the 1950s, John Foster Dulles, that's sitting here on my desk, a religious biography of John Foster Dulles. So that's my kind of book.
That's great. That's great. We just have a minute left, Mark, but I would love for you to answer where you see the glimmers of hope in the middle of where we are with all of the racial unrest and the pandemic and the fears and concerns that all Americans have right now.
Well, our country and our society have just survived a terrible year in many, many ways. Pandemic, the unrest, the strife, the events of January 6th, increased polarization, yet remarkably, almost miraculously, our country and our democracy still survive. And maybe for all of these challenges, horrible challenges, we will have been stronger for having made it through so far. That's my hope anyway.
Great. And Mark, one last question, since we're in the middle of Black History Month. Do you have a favorite Black minister? Maybe even someone that we don't know about?
Well, he wasn't a minister, but Frederick Douglass had a strong Methodist background. So I'll go with him for the moment. He was always been one of my historical favorites.
He is one of my favorites as well. Thank you so much, Mark. It's so great to see you. I'm so glad that you could come on.
I enjoyed it.
Take care. Bye-bye. What a great night. What a great night. I love being able to interview very, very different people, and this was a wonderful combination. Next week, guest will be Nataki Garrett, the artistic director of Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and she's terrific, and Stephanie Handel, and she works with the Went Center for Loss and Healing. So you're definitely going to want to tune in to hear from them. Tonight's gift of art is something really fantastic, I think. Our props master, Jen Sheets, it will be talking about a piece of art that will be mailed out to people every 4 days from Arena Stage from Dear Jack, Dear Louise. You're going to be receiving the love letters. If you decide that you're going to subscribe, the love letters of Jack and Louise will be coming to your home, and you'll be able to read them and pass them on to your neighbors as well. So let's go ahead and watch Jen in her creation.
Hi, I'm Jen Sheets, the Properties Director at Arena Stage, and I'm currently working on the Dear Jack, Dear Louise letter project. It's a series of 9 letters that patrons will receive in the mail that follow the love story of Captain Jacob S. Ludwig, Jack, and Louise Verbiner, the parents of playwright Ken Ludwig. The story unfolds in the years 1942 to 1945, when Louise was an upcoming actress in New York City, and Jack was stationed at various army camps in the U.S. before heading off to war. So now I'm at the research stage of the project, and I really enjoy it. And I've been finding a lot of letters from soldiers from World War II on eBay, and I purchased a few because the best resource is the real item. One of them is this V-mail letter that I'm going to recreate that Jack writes Louise when he's in Europe, down to the window in the envelope and the return address stamp. What excites me the most about this project is that Dear Jack, Dear Louise is a sweet play about 2 people finding love. And this is a production. There's a budget to work with, there's materials to gather, there's research to do, and there's a team to put this together. And that excites me.